Now we're going to look at the quadratic formula. The solutions of a quadratic equation in standard form, they need to be in standard form. A cannot equal 0, because if it were 0, it would revert back to a linear. And if I'm supposed to have a quadratic, I need an x squared. But it's given by this formula, and you need to know this formula, memorize it. X equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. The number under the radical has a special name. It's called the discriminant because it discriminates as to what type of solutions you have. If the discriminant comes out to be 0, you have one rational solution. Square root of 0 would be 0, so all you technically would have would be negative b over 2a. There's no radical in the answer. If it's a perfect square, 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, you will have two rational solutions. Again, no radical in the answer because those are perfect squares. If you've got a positive number, but it's not a perfect square, and these are some examples, you will have two irrational solutions. You will have a radical in the answer, and there is not a fraction that will give you the exact value. That's why it's called not rational. If you have a negative number, it's a non-real answer. It's imaginary. You'll have complex conjugates. Steps to solve. Get it in the correct form, equaling 0. Find the discriminant, b squared minus 4ac, using the ABC in order to determine the type of solution. Substitute technically a and b in, because if you do step 2, then you've already got the discriminant. Simplify it if possible, and always check your answers. I've got another sheet to look at. Solve using the quadratic formula. It's already in standard form. They want us to find the discriminant and determine the type of solution. So this is my A, my B, and my C. It is to your advantage if you will write the formula down, because you will learn it faster that way. So I've got 9 squared minus 4 times 2 times negative 5. Notice I don't have any parentheses. If I had parentheses, it would be around my b value here, especially if it were negative. It might be a good habit to do that. I'm going to get my calculator. 9 squared minus 4 times a times c. Comes out to be 121. 121 is a perfect square. So that means I have two rational solutions. If you have a perfect square, the problem could be done by factoring. So we're going to do it by factoring, and in the C part, if you'll notice, we're going to do quadratic formula as well. So 2x squared plus 9x minus 5 is equal to 0. 2 times negative 5 is a negative 10. Negative 1 times 10 is the pair I need to break up my middle. Factor by grouping. I'm going to factor out an x. Factor out a plus 5. My parentheses match. So factor out that common binomial. Now, if you remember, we set these individually equal to 0. So I'm saying those are my solutions. Now we're going to solve by quadratic formula. X equals negative b plus or minus square root of discriminant all over 2 times a. So I've got negative 9 plus or minus 11 all over 4. We need to simplify this. So I do an upper road and a lower road. I do my plus road up here. Negative 9 plus 11 over 4. That would be 2/4, and that would equal that one. This is my lower road. And that would be that one. So I did the same problem 2 different ways. Check by calculator. I'm going to find what's called zeros. So type my original one in, 2x squared plus 9x minus 5. I'm going to see if I can move this up because I need you to see something. Do you see this trace key? I want calc right above it. I'm going to press second calc for number 2, 0, because we are finding technically where my y value is 0. So I've got that one and I've got that one. Now for left bound, I always start left, go right. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like negative 5. Yes, I know it is, but if I do it graphically, I'm not going to assume. But you've sort of figured out what x value you're working with. Pick a number to the left. So I'm going to choose negative, say 7. And if you'll notice, I get a little arrow up there, sort of like a blinder. And now I got to get a number to the right. I'm going to choose negative 4. My value should be in between that. And if you look at it, it is. It says to guess. I don't. Just press enter. When it comes up 0, that's my negative 5. Right there. X equals negative 5 when y is equal to 0. Now that one should be 1/2. So let's try it again. I'm going to use negative 1 and say 3. So I've got to do second trace for the calc menu number 2. Negative 1 is going to be my left bound. 3 is going to be my right. I do not guess. 0.5 is 1/2. When you say 2 rational solutions, anytime you come up with a positive number, it's going to hit the x-axis twice, 2 times. So I did check it by calculator. Let's play with this one. Wrong form all the way around. I'm going to distribute the 3. So that would be 9x squared minus 12x equals negative 4. So 9x squared minus 12x plus 4 is equal to 0. Because I've got to get it in standard form. So here's my A, my B, and my C. Notice my B is negative. You've got to be careful. So find the discriminant. B squared minus 4AC. Yes, you do need parentheses on this one. A, C. See what that equals. Parentheses, negative 12 squared minus 4 times 9 times 4. 0. We only have one rational solution. Again, solve by factoring. So let me get it, stamp my standard form down. A couple of ways I could do this, but if you'll notice, I've got a perfect square here, and if you remember those, let's see if it works on this one. You could do it the way I did earlier as well. I'm going to put perfect square here, and for me to get a positive 4, but then a negative here, though both of those would have to be negative. And if you did it the old AC method, you'd come up with the same thing. If you'll notice, this is called a double root. They're the same. So I only set one of those equal to 0. one rational solution. Solved by quadratic formula, x equals negative b plus or minus square root of 0 all over 2 times a. So I get 12 over 18. You reduce that, divide top and bottom by 6, you get 2/3. Check by calculator. I'm going to show you something else here. Go to y equals, clear that out. 9x squared minus 12x plus 4. Let me ask it to graph. When you have one rational solution, it will only hit the x-axis in one place. Right there. Now, if you have, just if you have a negative number, your parabola will not hit the x-axis. And that's why there are non-real answers. So, I said I was going to show you something else. I'm going to go back to second trace for the calc menu. Do you see value? If I press value, it's requesting an x value. So I'm going to put 2 divided by 3 in. And do you see where the little blinking thing is? That's my coordinate point. And if you'll notice, my y value is 0. So that's another way I could check. And that's it for this video. Thank you.